Okay, thanks.
Are you a self published author that maybe underestimated the challenges of marketing your own book? I'm Suzanne Lynn, and we help authors sell more books through video interviews and radio advertising. You see, a professional video interview is really an author's secret weapon for marketing because it makes an emotional connection with your reader that can be posted to social media, YouTube, your book's landing page and website, your Amazon author page, and even sent to media to request interviews. We guarantee that video interview will be viewed by a minimum of 3,000 people in your target audience. And let's face it, no one can sell your book better than you speaking about it yourself. Plus, we can run commercials on our nationwide network of radio stations that targets your specific reading audience. Find out more at givemybookwings.com. That's givemybookwings.com. Again, givemybookwings.com.
Your house is your future.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. However you're spending your day, make it a great one. It is a beautiful day to be alive, and however you spent the weekend, we know we've got more news and things to look forward to this week. We got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about osteoporosis. Not sure if you yourself know anybody with a little osteoporosis. What's a typical thing that you would tell somebody that has osteoporosis, Jesse?
Okay, I'm gonna act like I know what that word is. I have no clue. I'm not gonna lie. I have no clue what that is. So
Okay.
can you enlighten me?
I will enlighten you. The National Osteoporosis Foundation has released a new report analyzing the state-by-state economic and impact of osteoporotic fractures suffered by those insured by Medicare. Osteoporosis has to deal with your bones. So some people, yeah, the older you get, you may have osteoporosis. Based on your bones, I think the density of your bones, the inside. I know there's osteoporosis qualifications and or like if you have osteoporosis, right? So we're gonna be talking to Dr. Andrea Singer, who's an associate professor and chief of the Division of Women's Primary Care and director of Bone Densitometry at MedStar Georgetown University Hospital. She'll go over some of the key findings and what the human and economic toll of osteoporosis is in our state. We'll be talking about fracture incidents, costs, and even more severe things like deaths due to such a thing. But if you've known anybody that has osteoporosis, of course, it's not something fun to have to deal with. And in women, I believe osteoporosis is more frequent than in men. But for those that know about osteoporosis, it is a condition in which bones become weak and brittle. So the bone absorbs and replaces bone tissue typically, but with osteoporosis, new bone creation doesn't keep up with the old bone removal. So people usually show no symptoms until they have a bone fracture. Treatments include medications, healthy diet, weight-bearing exercise to help prevent bone loss or strengthen already weak bones. So, funny, you don't give too much idea about your bones, huh, Jesse?
Honestly, no, not really, because I had no clue on what that word was. Osteoporosis. You know what? Now that I think about it, I have heard that word. I just didn't put that and bones together for some reason.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's kind of how I roll too sometimes. But so there you go. Where is everybody tuning in from? We want to know. Let us know on social media. This weekend was an interesting one. If you saw my posts, it was one of which I will say I'm happy to be alive. Literally got into an accident, and one of which I will say was one of the most. I've been in a lot of accidents. This was one of the weirdest accidents I've ever had. Literally, the other driver, I'll just say, well, the lady, the other driver, hit me from behind and corralled in a way. She went flying to the right of me. Like her vehicle went flying into and it tumbled down the off ramp, down the hill. and I think she even hit a tree. It ended up upside down. When I pulled over, got to her vehicle. Thank God there were two other like night workers there, and one with a tractor. But I kid you not, one of the first things in my head was one of two things. One, because I saw some smoke, so I'm like, okay, I hope there's no fire. And two, I was thinking, okay, what's the worst case scenario? I hope we can rescue her, right? And the door, it was completely on its upside, or back down, it was upside down, I should say. Um, Tried opening it, couldn't open it. I'm like, can we get the tractor over here? So they're driving it around to maybe push it over. In the meantime, call the police. Her cell phone is like, I see it off to the side, and because it jettisoned out of her car, I guess, obviously. And I kid you not, I was like, okay, I don't hear any life. I don't hear anything. Like, what's the worst case scenario? I'm like, my God, no, please, no. And then the phone rings, and I see it ringing, her phone, right? So I pick it up and I just say, whoever this is, I said something. I don't know what I said. And then I heard a guy say, no, I'm her boyfriend. He probably was like, what is a guy doing answering? I didn't know it was, a lady at the time. And so I'm like, whoever you are, you need to come here. It's on the 210 freeway. You need to pick her up or something. And then as I'm talking to him, I forget it was all really fast now that I think about it. So then we go to the other side, and it's not opening. And I see, it's just flattened. It's flattened pretty much. The whole top of her roof. She was driving a Jeep, and I ended up saying, if you're in there, please, can you unlock a door? Because I'm trying all the doors, right? Nothing's opening, and I'm like, okay, I could kick these in, but I don't want to hurt her. Or him. Somehow I just knew it was a woman, or maybe I didn't. I don't really know. And so finally, like, I think I say, if you can't unlock the door, because it's kind of opening, like I could see. And so all of a sudden, like, there's movement, and so me and like one other guy are trying to pull the door, because the way it's on the upside, none of the doors were opening, right? And because it's just smashed. And thankfully, we start making some headway, and there's the woman, is coming out, and I'm like, are you okay? Is there any, and she's like, yes. I go, is there anybody else in the car? Thank God there was nobody else in the car. I'm going to tell you right now, because if there was anybody else in that vehicle, they would not have survived. She was so lucky to be alive. But the conversation that happened after that really had me kind of going, oh no, because she got out, and just like anybody, like, oh my God, she's shocked. She's in shock, right? And she literally says, I fell asleep at the wheel. And I'm like, or she goes, I fell asleep. I don't know if she said at the wheel. She probably didn't say at the wheel. She just says, I fell asleep. And I was like, okay. And then she's looking at her car like, my everything's in there. She had a lot of photo memories, like everything, all of her, like my And then I'm like, oh, it's okay. We're alive. I'm alive. You're alive. The cops are coming. Oh, here's your phone. And so she's talking to, I guess, her boyfriend, and she's just like, well, we got in a fight. I didn't want to, I didn't want to stay or something, right? And she's just like, this good man is trying to help me, Well, I think that he was probably like, who is this guy, right? Who's this, like, whatever. And so I don't know what happens, but whatever. She ends up getting off the phone, and she's just like, my parents just died. My cat just died. I said, but it's okay, but you're alive. She goes, I wish I had died. And I was like, oh, God, don't say that. I didn't know what to say to that. I had no idea what to say to that. And again, I'm just like, look, it'll work itself out. It's And then she goes, she has no insurance. So I'm like, oh my God. So of course now I'm starting to think of me. I'm like, you have no insurance. Like, how's this gonna work? But whatever. They gotta have insurance. But at the same time, I'm just like, she goes, well, I have a license. I'm like, okay, good. And but I just felt bad in that moment because the only thing that stuck out in my head was, I wish I had died. I'm like, you don't get out of an accident and go, I wish I died. So then it made me go think like all the stuff that we talk about here on the show and how people are depressed and some are angry and some have a hard time. And then I thought about her particular situation in that moment because she had it much worse than I do at the moment. I mean, her vehicle is totaled. It's gone. So the fact that she has no insurance, I don't know what she's going to do, to be honest. I just have no idea. I mean, I know I have insurance, but at the same time, anyway. So I really don't know what to do for her. Now my vehicle is not working, so now I'm like, oh my goodness, so this is. And that's the only vehicle we have. So it's just one thing after another, and so it's. So here's what I'm going to say at the end of the day. If you're out there and you're having a bad time in life to the point where you actually go, you know what, I don't want to be alive, please don't feel that way. I mean, I know it's easier said than done. Her parents just died. Her cat just, it was like everything that could go wrong for this lady was going wrong. But, I remember now. I said, you know what? This is like a new start to your life. Like the opposite could have been, and I didn't want to tell her this, but I didn't know if I was going to find her dead. And you know what I mean? Like, even though I got hit from behind, I didn't, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that. But it's scary, It's one of those things you just don't want to have to face, obviously. And if you do face it, you hope you come out alive, right? For your friends and or family. So I don't know. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, for her, that's probably one of the worst days. Might be one of the worst days of her life. Just the loss of her parents, the loss of her pet, and now her car is totaled. And honestly, when I saw those pictures right before I got to sleep, I was like, "Oh my God, whose car is that?" I seriously thought somebody died.
Yeah.
That car was just in such a terrible condition. I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it was, needless to say, a pain in the butt. So to have to deal with. However, I am so glad she walked away. I am so, anyway, AAA came, blah, blah, blah. Now the car doesn't work, and, it is what it is. Maria Yankopolos from Canada, hello, says, thank God you all were okay. Katia Vanderland says, good morning, everyone. And let's see, Melinda Monteverde, thank you. I know you had offered to give me a ride. Wasn't sure AAA was going to do that. And evidently, make sure to download Lyft and or Uber because calling AAA was a pain in the butt too. Because AAA, evidently, they don't allow you to go with the driver because of coronavirus. So you got to get your own. So if they got to take your vehicle, you have to call your own Lyft and or Uber or taxi in order to get you to where you got to go, even though you're like, but how am I going to get there with my car? So I'm like, it's okay. I'll just walk. So I was actually thankful and happy that he's like, no, just don't tell anybody. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to tell anybody. Whatever, except I'm telling everybody. But I was just happy, like, he used his thinking mind to say, you know what? I'll help you out. Like, just come on. Like, but AAA, I'm sorry, your customer service sucks. It took like, I don't know. And if you call AAA, by the way, don't expect to get anybody right away. I think I had to call 2 or 3 times. I think, and the guy said when he picked me up, they have a new system. Don't use the system. Send the thing to as a text. But if you have a regular phone, you're I hate to say this, AAA, get on your stuff because you did not answer the call like 3 times. And one went to a voicemail of a lady. I'm like, roadside assistance? This isn't roadside assistance. Like, so anyway, it was one of those things. But yeah, please, 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 as Angela says, Araujo says, pray for her. Yeah, pray for her. Again, this can happen to anybody at any time of the day. Obviously, I had to remind my mom that because she was starting to stress out when I told her. Maria says, my dad used to fall asleep driving, so he got a CB radio to keep him awake at 4 a.m. on his way home. 7 days a week, he worked in Flint, Michigan. We lived in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Rosalie says, material things can be replaced. I had a lady total my Mercedes, but almost killed my little boy in the back seat. Oh, my goodness. I can only imagine. She says she ran through a red light at 60 miles an hour and T-boned us. Yeah, it's almost what happened with me. She goes, I lived that car, but I'm so glad every day I lost the car and not my baby boy. Yeah, I seriously, when she said, no, it's only me, I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I guarantee the way that car was, there wouldn't, I was expecting to see blood. I think that was the thing that I was happy to see. I'm like, there's no blood. That for me, that was big, because one of my accidents that I've had, I gashed blood. I was bleeding. I didn't even know I was bleeding. I was just like, why is my head all warm? And then I remember touching, and I had all this blood on my hands. I'm like, what the gash? They sewed up my nose because it was gashed in and lacerated. It was terrible. That was another accident. So I was like, but I didn't get a concussion on this one. I just thank God. Anyway, people, be happy when you have another day in life. And your worst case scenario is, what am I going to do since I don't have a vehicle anymore? And you got to think of like, what am I going to do next? So, but the next is probably the better of the two. All right, we got to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got more to talk about, including osteoporosis around the corner. We got more. Stay tuned right there. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Top Line Industrial Supply, your destination for industrial tools and supplies. We make hoses while you wait, hydraulic, air, water, and custom brake lines. Take advantage of our large selection of fasteners from grade 5 to grade F911 and a full line of stainless steel bolts. Our no-cost outside shop service keeps you stocked at no extra charge. Come by one of our 2 convenient locations in Beaumont and Temecula and visit top-lineindustrial.com. At Top Line Industrial, we don't just sell products. We sell solutions.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state? Did you miss sending out a prior year tax return? The IRS is out to collect now more than ever, and they'll use any means necessary. They legally can and will garnish your wages, take your money, and even seize your property. If you're behind on your taxes, call the Tax Relief Hotline right now at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000. You can legally get your tax debt under control and in many cases get the breathing room you need. Garnished wages, property seizures, bank levies can stop immediately, but you have to call. Many of our specialists are IRS enrolled agents. They know the system and how to make it work for you. Don't wait for the IRS to come down on you. Act now so you can get your tax debt under control. Call their Riverside office today for free info at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000.
When you want the best performance for your vehicle, think only of Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont, right off the I-10 and 60 freeways. Check out Scott's complete list of performance products on their website at hdrinfo.com. Scott's Headers and Mufflers can recommend ways for your car or truck to get better gas mileage and cut down on emissions. Need your car or truck to pass smog only? Go to Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont. Find out all of your questions on vehicle performance by logging on to hdrinfo.com. Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont. hdrinfo.com.
Don't let insurance companies make decisions for you. Go to Pass Auto Center in Banning, your one-stop repair facility with full collision repair, auto maintenance, service, and an authorized smog center. You'll also find a full-service used car lot to fit every budget with the right vehicle for you. Trade-ins are accepted and they pay cash for your car. Pass Auto Center at 2609 West Ramsey in Banning, just off the I-10 freeway between Sunset and 22nd. Call 951-849-7878.
Summer's almost here, and you know what that means. Sunny days and hot temperatures that make you want to stay inside. Franklin Mechanical Systems can repair or replace your air conditioning unit to get it working before the heat hits. For cleaning, repair, or a new installation, call them for a free estimate. Franklin Mechanical Systems is the one for all your residential and commercial air conditioning needs. Call their Beaumont office at 951-845-1000. That's 951-845-1000 and get cool today.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. However you're tuning in, we appreciate you. We are talking about the latest, whatever that is in your life. Again, appreciate it. Again, if you're just tuning in, did get in a little bit of a car accident over the weekend. Not fun at all to have to deal with. However, it's not just about me and the other lady. It is about a lot of other things. Last week we talked about, Jesse, about Vax Live, the concert to reunite the world, the Global Citizens fundraising concert. And evidently it made big news. They ended up pulling in $302 million, exceeding their goal for the organization's campaign. They procured more than 26 million doses at the Vax Live concert to reunite the world. The organization said money was garnered through several philanthropic and corporate commitments. President Joe Biden, Prince Harry, Jennifer Lopez were among the big names who took part in the event, which was recorded May 2nd, aired this weekend. A lot of places, of course, broadcast it. Selena Gomez hosted the show, was attended by several thousand fully vaccinated concertgoers who cheered on performances by Eddie Vedder, Foo Fighters, J Balvin, her, and Lopez, who enjoyed a duet with her mom. That's always nice. Ben Affleck, Chrissy Teigen, Jimmy Kimmel, Sean Penn, David Letterman served as special guest speakers. It was one of the largest concert gatherings in Southern California since the pandemic rolled into the world about more than a year ago. Organizers called the event the country's first large-scale music event for a COVID-19 compliant audience. Media and production staff needed to show a negative COVID-19 test before entering the stadium. But so pretty big stuff, and so there you go. So that's exciting to hear that they did well, and we did help to promote that on Friday. So if you missed that, it was a pretty good interview, and so there you go. So that's always nice. This is also something, India. If you have any friends in India, I know we have neighbors over here that are from India, actually, and I don't know if I haven't been able to speak to them actually, but their northeast fear of the virus surge has already
Among
come.
my patients, I often see them.
I will say I did have a conversation last week with somebody in India, and he had said and shared that he had just gotten over coronavirus like 3 weeks ago. And he was still coughing and hard to talk, and you could tell it's in his lungs still. Healthy guy, probably about 35, I want to say, and but he's like, yeah, everybody's been getting it. And then he was telling me, people, he feels he'll be fine, and people are getting good over there in his circle, but in talking to him, again, nationwide, India's health ministry reported 360,000 new cases in the past 24 hours Monday, with more than 3,700 deaths. Since the pandemic began, India has seen more than 22.6 million infections, more than 246,000 deaths. The cities in India's northeastern frontier include Myanmar, Bangladesh, and Bhutan, which is in New Delhi. Cases have started to spike in remote Himalayan villages in the region. That's not good. Officials in Assam were racing to prepare for a virus surge because similar onslaughts and infections overwhelmed hospitals in much richer Indian states. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking about osteoporosis around the corner. We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay tuned.
Get up to the minute forecast and temperatures for Beaumont, Banning, Redlands, Palm Springs, your community, national or international cities, on KMET's website, KMET1490am.com. The station now features AccuWeather. AccuWeather offers weekend and extended forecasts along with the latest radar map and current conditions. AccuWeather on KMET1490am.com. Log in every morning for your daily forecast.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live as well. Thank you for having us with you. Right now, it's all about National Osteoporosis Month, and the National Osteoporosis Foundation has released a new report analyzing the state-by-state economic and clinical impact of osteoporotic fractures suffered by those insured by Medicare. Joining us right now is Dr. Andrea Singer, who's an associate professor and chief at the Division of Women's Primary Care and director of bone densitometry at MedStar Georgetown University Hospital in Washington, D.C. She's also the chief medical officer of the National Osteoporosis Foundation. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the National Osteoporosis Foundation as well as Women in Government.
Yeah, and thank you for this. Sometimes I will say this: I've had some elderly friends of mine, in their 80s, get a fracture, but it was worse than a normal fracture because I guess she had osteoporosis, and her health really degenerated after that. I always tell my mom, do not get on a high chair because I don't want her to fall. I don't know if she has osteoporosis. What have you been finding with osteoporosis?
Well, I think you're right. The consequences are what we worry about. Right? Certainly this is a disease of increasing age, but it is not just your grandmother's disease. And there are many people who can have osteoporosis, no gender or race that makes us safe. But your concerns are well validated by this report, meaning that there can be significant risk of death following a fracture. What the report showed is that 19% of those with a fracture died within 12 months. 30% of all hip fracture patients died in the first year. For those who remain alive, that risk of losing independence, no longer being mobile, needing to go to a nursing home, having other complications is quite high. And that's not the way we want to see ourselves or our mothers or loved ones spend the rest of their lives.
Yeah, okay, and I'm glad you're bringing that up because I've seen this to be the case. I'm looking at an infographic that is currently being done by this. Approximately 1.8 million Medicare beneficiaries suffered approximately 2.1 million osteoporotic fractures in 2016. What are the other stats, especially when it comes to those that are Medicare beneficiaries? And what do we need to know about that?
Yeah, so that data looked at Medicare beneficiaries. As you can imagine then, it's just the tip of the iceberg. If we looked at all rates in the U.S., because younger people who have commercial insurance or who aren't insured fracture as well. But these are huge numbers when you think about how that leads to not only disability in the population, but cost. And interestingly, in California, if we look at the same time period, in 2016, about 174,000 beneficiaries had just over 200,000 osteoporotic fractures. That led to an increased cost of about $515 million in that single year to Medicare. You have such a large population in California, that's obviously part of it. But the consequences, both economically and in terms of the human toll, are significant.
Yeah, it's not something I'm happy to hear about, but what can people do with this information?
Well, I think we, as individuals, and for me as a provider, we need to think about the people that we see and discussing risk, looking at each person as an individual, because there are things that across the stages of life can be done, hopefully to prevent disease, but if not, to treat and to try to change things in the trajectory as people get older. So that's certainly one thing. from a legislative standpoint, in terms of talking both to local government as well as federal government, Congress and CMS, making changes to the system so that we incentivize the use of secondary fracture prevention programs to coordinate care and make sure that if somebody does have a fracture, they get the right care to reduce the risk of another fracture, that bone density testing is accessible to everyone. Payments had been cut substantially so that centers had to close, and in some areas it was difficult to get a bone density test. So those are some of the things that I think we can try to get our legislators to help us turn around so we can offer the right care to all people.
Well, look, I'm glad you're saying this again. And it's true. I'm thinking of what's the, do you know the youngest person without? Because I remember my ex-wife. I remember we had to talk about her bones, and I think she was only, I want to say 30 at the time, and she had a situation with osteoporosis. How young can this happen?
Well, it can happen at any age. I mean, it is certainly much more common as people get older. And the reason the Medicare population was studied is that's where you're going to see the greatest number of cases. But there are different medical conditions. There are sometimes medicines we take for other medical problems that can be bad for the bone. There can be genetics. So at any age, somebody could have risk. And even though they're not in the typical age range, have osteoporosis or be at risk. That's why at the end of the day, it's always important to look at the individual patient sitting in front of you and help them figure out what their risk factors are.
Got it. And let's talk about screening, because I know you do screening, and I remember when we used to have events where they would have the ability for you to check to see if you had osteoporosis. What's because I think it's called densitometry.
Yeah, so doing a bone density test, the gold standard is a DEXA scan, what we call a DEXA scan, that looks at the spine and the hips. And that's a great test to figure out what somebody's bone density is like and if they're at increased risk. So if a woman is 65 or a man is 70 and they've not yet been screened, they should be. If younger postmenopausal women and men between the ages of 50 and 69, if they have one or more additional risk factors for osteoporosis and fractures, they should be screened. But at any age, we can ask people about risk factors and essentially screen them based on risk and maybe figure out, as you mentioned, like your wife, somebody who might need testing at a less typical age because of something that's unique to them.
Well, I want to say this. Thank you for getting into my mom's head, because I could see her talking. Because she keeps getting on high, like on a chair, and I'm like, "Can you please get off the chair?" She's like, "I'm trying to fix the blinds." I'm like, "Mom, can you please get off the chair?" Is there? I mean, I don't know about you and your family. I mean, do you ever get a little like, "Can you be a little bit more careful?"
Yeah, I think that happens. People think they're invincible, and we want everybody to remain active. Right? So we don't want people to be so fearful that they don't get to live their lives, but we do want them to understand the consequences of a fracture and of a fall, because that's often the precipitating event for a fracture, and certainly want to keep our loved ones out of a nursing home, out of assisted living, and being able to do the things. So it's okay for them to ask for a little bit of help instead of climbing up on things that are, off the ground.
Yeah, I'm understanding that certain ethnicities get less tests or screening rates, and then of course when they do get fractures, they don't really talk about that. If you didn't know, I mean, if like I get a fracture, okay, I don't know that I go to the density of it. So what is the process there? Should you ask that, or do they normally screen if you do get a fracture, and how do you do that, or when do you find out?
Yeah, well, they should, but the reality is that we don't. Anybody who's 50 years of age or older and has a fracture should be screened. In this study, what was seen is that nationally, only 8% of patients got a bone density test in the 6 months following a fracture, even though they were essentially waving a flag at us saying, maybe there's a problem with my bones. In California, the rate was actually 9%, so you weren't great, but you were a percentage point better than the national average, so kudos. But that's clearly far from where screening should be, especially in the highest risk group of patients who've already had one broken bone.
Well, I know you're out of time. I want to say thank you for spending time with us. Make it a great day. Get the word out and be safe out there, okay?
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, if you want more information, it's very simple. All you have to go to is bonehealthpolicyinstitute.org. They have a really good infographic on that. You could download the key findings there. 50 individual state reports can be accessed depending on what part of the state, and seeing what has been done, what can be done. According to some stats here, $5.7 billion, the total estimated allowed medical cost to Medicare in the 6-month period following subsequent fractures that were suffered up to 3 years following the initial fracture. That was in 2016. Actual cost may be higher. Preventing 20% of subsequent fractures, and Medicare could have saved $1.1 billion in 2016. It's all about knowing what you're doing. These are some of the rates across the U.S., by the way. The rate of osteoporotic fractures among the 50 states range from 318.7 per 10,000 in Hawaii. That was the lowest ever. The highest is in Kentucky at 472 per 10,000. The average estimated 180-day cost of a subsequent fracture ranged from in Arkansas at $17,000 and the highest in Wyoming at about an average of $26,200. The report found that fracture rates varied substantially, also by race and ethnicity. After adjusting for differences in age and sex, the analysis shows that North American natives suffered fractures at a rate 20% higher than the national average, while suffering fewer fractures and subsequent fractures. Black Medicare beneficiaries have lower screening rates, a higher hospitalization rate, and higher death rates following fractures. So again, something that you need to find out. You can also go to NOF.org. That's the National Osteoporosis Foundation. Very important to get screened, get regular on this. There are things that you can do for it, but again, you got to verify and make sure that you do that. Again, not to throw caution in the wind, but if you have osteoporosis, you get a fall or you break it. Sometimes breaking a hip can happen like that as well, so always be careful there. Let's see. Maria Yankopoulos says, I'm about Aaron and Jesse's age, or close to one of them, I forget. I've had it for about 10 years now, so she's under 40, I believe. So, because you're 28, Jesse, and I'm like 31.
Yeah, I just turned 22, so
there it is.
You know what?
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're older than us, Maria. But whatever. Okay. She says, get a DEXA scan. I get them. So she goes, I get tested a lot. Still can work hard, but have to be careful all the same. So there you go. All right, people. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. We'll be right back right after these messages with more.
Who is the Atua Man? Can you imagine exploring spiritual consciousness through an exotic action-adventure story? The Atua Man is masterfully illuminated in this self-discovery novel by John Stevenson. Dive into the page-turning epic hero's journey, weaving together high action with spiritual revelation. Join the Atua Man and his colorful cohorts as they travel through the majestic Hawaii, the hidden mysteries of Polynesia, and the intrigue, starting with the mysterious healing that breeds chaos in London. This journey guides us through the trials of living in the material world, arriving into enlightened consciousness, perhaps glimpse into the fabric of creation. How is the Atua Man affected by the global healing ministry surrounding him? How does he navigate the complexities of love, forgiveness, life and death, wealth and power? Find out in John Stevenson's TheAtuaMan.com, Apple Books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Mattress Brothers Overstock Mattress Sale. Just $3.99 for a foam-encased queen pillow top set. $3.99. Check out Mattress Brothers $3.99 overstock sale. Mattress Brothers at 120 West Redlands Boulevard in Redlands. The $3.99 overstock sale is on now. $3.99 for a foam encased queen pillow top set. Mattress Brothers also has locations in Hemet, Riverside, and Palm Desert. The $3.99 queen pillow top sale on now.
We're in the studio with Fred Penny, managing attorney with Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers. Fred, tell us what makes you the number one choice for handling personal injury cases.
Most of our firm is made up of former insurance company trial lawyers with extensive experience handling all types of personal injury matters. We believe that gives us a distinct advantage.
That's Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennyandassociates.com or call 1-800-616-4-LAW. That's 1-800-616-4-LAW.
For all you truck and RV enthusiasts, TruckWorks right here in Banning is your one-stop shop for the best diesel performance and overall truck and RV needs. Whether you're towing, racing, off-road, or just cruising around town, TruckWorks specializes in truck and RV service, maintenance, repair, and performance upgrades for every light and medium-duty truck manufacturer. Bring it down to Terry and the guys at TruckWorks. Call 951-922-4776 or visit their website at mydieseldown.com today.
Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions now has Pack Your Meds. That's right, just add water. You order 5 or more prescriptions from Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions, and they will pack your meds for you in AM/PM marked packs. No more sitting down and counting and dropping them on the floor. You remember, it's not fun. I didn't like it. So now they'll do it for you. Safe, sealed, and dated. So call Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions at 951-845-8252.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Glad to have each and every one of you with us on today's show, talking about osteoporosis and what you need to know about it. Always very important. Good to get screened. That's one of the biggest things, I believe. What did you learn about that interview, Jesse?
A lot more than what I knew before. Shoot, now that I think about it, okay, so when my mom talks, I don't always listen. I'll be honest.
Got it.
Some stuff goes through my head, and so now that I think about it, remember when you mentioned the word osteo? I think the reason why I knew that word is because my mom has that. So yeah, I know. So she falls so much. I just want to put her in like pads, helmet, and she's accident prone. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you're gonna take better care of her, right? And because again, the bones thing, I remember when this happened with a good friend of mine, and again, she was elderly. I think she was 73 at the time, and fit as a whistle. I mean, this lady, she walking all the time. She did everything she could do, and young at heart, super young at heart, Japanese as well. I remember talking to her briefly about, because she was one of the few that actually got locked up in the camps here in the U.S. back in, I want to say, the late 30s. However, when she got, and I think she had a step stool, and she fell, and she just was never the same after that. And I remember talking to her family and said, yeah, she fell, she hurt her, I think it was her hip. I can almost guarantee she had osteoporosis. And little petite young lady, 72. But she just wasn't the same after that. And she lived years after that, but recently died as well. So she comes to mind whenever I see my mom going, oh, I can do it. She gets on one of those wobbly chairs. I'm like, no, please step down. Like, don't, all I need is the wobbly chair to lose. You know what I mean? I mean, or get a fracture or hit your head or... Just no, I know because my mom has fallen down before. She passed out one time walking the dog, and she came back all bruised. I'm like, what happened? She goes, I fainted, and I'm like, so if I see or feel like she has any type of like she's wobbly, I'm like, just stay, or increase your blood sugar, monitor. So I'm always very like so. But there you go. So it is what it is. In fact, she was supposed to go for a driving test today. I'm so upset. So she has to reschedule that because we have no vehicle right now. We're out of a vehicle. We were sharing the vehicle. So hopefully things will make sense eventually. But at the same time, you're cooking up a story over there. What's going on over there?
Oh yes, this I saw this on my news feed. I was like, I think I read it wrong. I had to have read it wrong. So apparently in Houston, Texas, neighbors were shocked to see a specific type of animal outside their home on Sunday night. Now I had you guess on what type of animal do you think it was. So what do you think it was?
Um. Well, okay. If it's
What would cause controversy for me to be like, oh, this animal's walking around?
is it have meat-eating teeth?
It might.
Okay. Mountain lion. Oh my God! I just got it.
Are you it?
I just. You know what? Here's what I can say. I would have never guessed it.
Right? So neighbors were shocked to see a tiger walking around their neighborhood.
Oh God.
At 8 p.m. in Texas. I'm just like, wait, what? A tiger? So apparently by the time the police or anybody arrived, the tiger was gone. But apparently had a collar, so it had to be somebody's pet. So how crazy is that? Who has a tiger as a pet?
I'm looking at the video footage right now. Yeah. Wait, so I don't know what I would do. This is in a regular neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now. It's just a regular neighborhood, and what would you do if you were to see a tiger? Well, I would stay still because I wouldn't believe it. I would just be like, "Is that real?"
I think I would. I thought I would.
Well, imagine
I don't
seeing
really know.
this
I don't
in
know.
your
I
neighbor's
think I would
yard. This is
probably
cell
think
phone
I
video of a
was,
tiger
hallucinating.
loose
I'm
in
not
the
gonna
Memorial
lie.
area
Right?
yesterday. Our reporter Courtney Fisher
But I'm gonna go
live
up to
there
it
with the
going,
latest
"Here,
on
kitty, kitty."
maybe whose tiger
No,
it
it
was,
has a
Courtney?
collar. It might be nice.
Tom, I don't know that I can find the words for this story, but we're gonna try.
No, it did not.
This tiger was
by the time
spotted
the police
walking
and
right
everyone
down the
else went
street
to
in
investigate, it
people's
was already
front
gone.
yards
So
here in this West
they're
Houston
investigating
neighborhood.
on
If we didn't have the
where it might be, because if it has a collar, that means it has an owner.
Yeah, I'm looking up some of the information there. But there you go. The tiger roaming through a Houston front yard until neighbors say someone in a white vehicle managed to get the animal under control and took it away. Okay, I got it. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Where are you at? I don't know what I would do. What would you have done?
I would. You know what? I don't know. I'd probably take 2 steps back and slowly walk backward. I am not gonna mess with something bigger than me, especially with something that could eat me.
I mean, I kind of want to go see if it's okay. But I look. This is one of those things where I think everybody needs to simply just take a moment and say, you know what? Thank goodness you. I mean, I don't. But they had a collar. So I guess spay your cats, right? And then imagine like.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I have no idea. Oh, Rosalie has a good suggestion in social media. She says catnip. Wonder if it would work. That's a good way to pacify a tiger baby, right? Here, kitty, kitty, chicken.
That's a good idea. Does catnip work on giant cats? That's a good question.
It should. It should. You just have to have major doses of it, right? It's like, so there you go. Do that. Rosalie says someone missing the pet tiger. I would have a tiger if I could. But there you go. Yeah, it's well, at least the tiger got to where it needed to go, right? Got safe.
It stretched its legs. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't have a tiger. I'd have a rhino, but that's just me. It's only because I want to ride them.
No? Oh, got it. Because rhinos are very docile and easy to ride. Is that what's going on?
I was gonna say people get out of my way, get out of traffic.
Got it. Okay. Well, I can see that. All right. But yeah, no. I just no. When they got the horn, forget it. You've never seen one come at you. That's why. Be in the.
Okay. I'll tell you what. The reason I got the whole rhino thing is because I watched Black Panther a couple days ago.
Oh.
They were riding rhinos in that. I want to ride a rhino.
All right. Well, it's funny that you say that Wakanda forever. Is that what you're going with? Okay. Well, here. You know what? I feel as though people need to get some love in their life if they don't have it. And and I was talking to the the tow truck driver, right, yesterday, and he was just like, I felt bad for him because he was getting over heartbreak as well, and I guess he moved out here for his little young one, right, who's 2, and he's just like, you know how hard it is to meet anybody out here. I'm like, yeah, trust me, nobody's dating right now, right? Like it's difficult. I think we need more love in our life, and here's a story about 2 parrots. Juliet, which is the last wild macaw in Rio, visits zoo every morning to canoodle companions and quell loneliness. Somebody needs to let this little parrot out. Some have claimed she's indulging a forbidden romance. More likely, loneliness compels her to seek company at Rio de Janeiro Zoo. Either way, a blue and yellow macaw that zookeepers named Juliet is believed to be the only wild bird of its kind left in the Brazilian city where the birds once flew far and wide. I think she's like, can you release my forever? Almost every morning for the last 2 decades she's appeared. She swoops into the zoo enclosure where macaws are kept and through its fence engages in grooming behavior that looks like conjugal canoodling. Well, yeah, they're animals, for crying out loud. Sometimes she sits, relishing the presence of others. She's quieter, shyer, more coy than her other ones. Blue and yellow macaws live to be about 35 years old, and Juliet, no spring chicken, should have found a lifelong mate years ago, according to Neva Geeds, who's the president of the Hyacinth Macaw Institute, an environmental group. But Juliet hasn't coupled, built a nest, or had chicks, so at most she's still just dating. Poor macaw, she's like, can you let my honey out of this dumb cage? Let's see. It says that she's probably very, very lonely. Yeah, no duh. And for that reason, it goes to the enclosure to communicate and interact. Yeah, no duh. She's communicating with their own, like, if you're a human and you see your own human in another cage that didn't do anything bad, I think you're going to do that. According to this, the last sighting of a blue and yellow macaw flying free in Rio was in 1818 by an Austrian naturalist. That's according to Marcelo Reingans, a biologist at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. And there are no other types of macaws in the city. The lovebirds were featured in the 2011 film Rio are Spix's macaws, which are native to a different region of Brazil and possibly extinct in the wild. Did not know that. But there you go. There's lots of information there. COVID, blah, 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 blah. But after 2 decades of solitude, Juliet will have the chance to fly with friends. Neve said Juliet could teach them how to navigate the forest or even find a love of their own. So I guess they're following her quite closely, and I think they need to let the love abound here and stop keeping them from each other. I guarantee you that's her little soulmate there going, can you get you out, my love? Come on out. What's wrong over there? So sad. She can't even have babies. She's like suffering 35 years. Parrot, no babies. Get these 2 together. They need a room. All right, we're going to let you guys go. We'll be back tomorrow. Same place, same channel. Bye-bye, everyone. I'm telling you right now, those parrots, just look at this. What are they not doing over there? Come on. Do the right thing and get these 2 together, man. Let's see. According to this, Biopark gave its macaws more space, 1,000-meter, which is 10,700 square foot aviary, where they fly beside green parrots, golden parakeets, that compose an aerial Technicolor swirl. All right, so it's good for you guys, bad for her. It's a massive upgrade from prior enclosures that were roughly 100 square feet. Oh, I get it. Okay, well, all right, I'll give you that. Biopark reopened to the public in March after privatization of Rio's dilapidated zoo. Sounds about dilapidated. 17 months of renovations. Biopark aims to feature species associated with research programs at universities and institutes. One such initiative is Rafana, which reintroduces species into protected areas with an eye on rebuilding ecosystems. I don't know, it sounds like a prison to me. The plan is for parents to raise some 20 chicks that will receive training on forest food sources, the peril of predators, and avoidance of power lines. I understand. Then the youngsters will be released into Rio's immense Tehuca Forest National Park, where Juliet has been sighted and is thought to sleep each night. Yeah, like going, can you let my honey out? Seriously. Or it could be her, long-lost relative. Hey, what's wrong? What'd you do? I'm in here for life. Are you kidding me? What'd you do? I don't know. I woke up and I was in here. Man, come on out. Yeah, I'm telling you, these two need to be reunited. But there you go. According to Ryan Gantz, the university biologist, who's the technical coordinator, says the role could be important in terms of ecosystem and reforestation. It's a big animal with big beak that can crack the biggest seeds, and not all birds can. They can do a lot of other stuff too. The idea is for it to start dispersing those seeds, complementing forest animals that can't. You do realize parrots do more than just break things, right? So there you go. If you know what, I don't. Yeah, people that understand have a heart. My goodness. But there you go. Look, be careful out there, and you can see love with the canoodling too. You make sure they find each other and they get to go on their own way. All right. Thanks. We'll be right back tomorrow, same place, same channel. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well.